Welcome back in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. Already week 12, man. Week 12. Everybody should enjoy each game that comes because it clearly goes quick, and we have less weeks left than what we've already been through. So we are well past the halfway mark of this season going into week 12 here. Birds are 8-2. Rams are 5-5. Eagles opened as a 3-point favorite in this game. I think it's down to 2.5. You guys would have to check. I'll have to check on BetUS to see what the odds are down to. And 8:20, Sunday night football game. Johnny Mac, it's at SoFi Stadium out in L.A., so it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. John, I mentioned Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp before the break. Those are the two guys, man, that I see as, you know, if you're going to beat this Rams team or you're going to slow down this Rams offense, make life hard for them. And it's hard to make life hard for them. They're good receivers, and they can pick out weak spots and defenses better than many other receivers in the league can. They're not just athletic guys or good route runners or, you know, have great hands. They have those things too, but they can read a defense and find the spots in the zone coverages, and that's one of Cooper Kupp's best attributes. What do you see the Eagles doing to try and slow those two guys down in this game?
Well, I think it's a lot. I think this is discipline week for the Eagles defense. I really believe that it's you know, the motion is real with Sean McVay. The whole idea of testing that discipline, getting leverage. It's mainly about getting leverage, and just getting, you know, whether it's outside shoulder or inside shoulder. The minute you give up that leverage to Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, you're probably going to be in trouble. Plus, you have a quarterback who can get them the football on time, on schedule, and all that kind of stuff. So, number one, I would say it's discipline, and people have been talking about that all week. Cooper, understand it's big. Reed Blankenship, talking to him, understands how big it is. You know, Vic downplayed it because Vic doesn't want to alert, you know, people outside the building, but inside the building, talking to his guys. That's what the whole thing is. If you're disciplined and you don't fall for what I say all the time, Sean McVay himself calls the illusion of complexity. He loves to use that word, illusion. It looks complex. It's not complex for them. And it's really designed to test that discipline. And if the Eagles are disciplined, it's not going to matter. If they're not, it's going to matter a lot. You know, I pointed out that play of releasing Puka Nacua inside between essentially the B gap. So you have a receiver releasing inside the offensive line. And I forget what team it was. They got completely lost, and it turns into a 30-yard gain down the field. You know, because you don't see it often. And it's difficult. It's easy to say be disciplined, but it's difficult to be disciplined. So when everybody starts talking about motion and everybody, Sean McVay's, let's be honest, Sean McVay is the Vic Fangio of offensive football. He's the guy people copy the most. Could be Kyle Shanahan, but one or the other. And they're both the same, essentially. I mean, they're both from the same tree, a little bit different. But those are the two guys when it comes to offensive football that people copy the most. And Vic's the guy on the defensive side right now. And what it is about that sort of and Matt LaFleur, who was Mike LaFleur, excuse me, who's their offensive coordinator, is Matt LaFleur's brother. It's all incestuous between the Shanahan and McVay trees. Had mentioned, you know, a lot of people think it's cool, the motion. We talked about it all off season. We talked about it. They think it's cool. He said, we don't do it to be cool. We don't do it because it looks good, because it's aesthetic to people outside the building. We do it for a purpose, and their purpose is typically to gain that leverage on a defender a little bit easier. And the way to do that is to, affect their eyes. And the minute you have that little, this has been going on in the NFL. I talked about it on the 4th-and-1 play to Jamar Chase in the Bengals game that Cooper DeJean snipped out. Tremendous example. All that back and forth didn't matter because Cooper was disciplined and he stopped the play. That's the perfect example of what you have to do. You're not going to do it 100% of the time, but if you do it pretty consistently, you're going to be fine. If you don't, you're going to have issues.
Be interesting to see if they run Puka Nacua up the B gap in this game like they did previously. I don't think so. Maybe they will, John. We never know what's wrong, McVay. John,
if I'm Jalen Carter and I see Puka Nacua, he's on his ass.
Yeah, I'm taking him out of the gate. Friggin' deck that guy, man. Make him regret.
By the way, he is a very. I think people don't understand Puka Nacua. He is a very physical wide receiver.
It's amazing he made it to the 5th round. I mean, obviously hindsight.
Well, he made it to the 5th round because he's not explosive. Like I think people think he's not. He
does everything well.
Yeah,
he's even a deep threat. He's been a deep threat for them. He's over the middle. He's
not a deep threat.
No, he's not solely a deep threat, but he can't. He's not like he can go deep. I mean, they've thrown.
Well, everybody can go deep, but he's more of a possession type. He's a big physical receiver. He might be the best blocking receiver in football. He is a big physical receiver. That's why he fell, because the guys who go at the top of the draft are the explosive guys. He's not the most explosive guy in the world. But he's a big, physical, smart receiver who you can give touch after touch, catch after catch. And he's going to move the chains. He's a very smart player, high football IQ. We were talking to Britton yesterday, a couple of us, and he's very close to the Nacua family as a whole, because his brothers played football as well. Sampson's one of them, and the best one was I forget his name now, but he was a defensive end, and he was the best of the Nacua brothers, and he got in some trouble at BYU. But yeah,
BYU, I mean, do people get in trouble down at BYU?
Well, they get in trouble there's a lot of people get in trouble at BYU because there's a lot of rules.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not necessarily. I'm not talking about robbing banks. I'm talking about dating women.
Yeah, really.
A lot of people get in trouble at BYU, but I digress. Yeah, I mean, his brother used to stay at his house, Britton's house. They're very close, but yeah, he's a very good player. But I think there's a misconception of what type of player he is. He's more the big physical guy than the explosive guy down the field.
Yeah, good stuff. We got a couple super chats we'll get to here to keep the viewers engaged. Good to see everybody in the chat, by the way, today. Have a good crowd as always here on this Football Friday. Brian Fleming. Don't look up soaking if you don't want to have an interesting morning.
Yes.
Thinking about those BYU guys.
A lot of rules.
Don't look up soaking, as Brian Fleming puts it in the chat.
Unfortunately, I know what he's talking about. Yes, don't look up for.
I unfortunately know too. One of the weird phenomenons. Now we'll have all 850 people watching Birds 365 right now. Google searching what soaking is. In the Mormon culture,
it's just weird. By the way,
Mormon. It is. It's weird. Yeah. All love though. If for any, all love.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Great Mormons. They're great people. Saquad says, Vic gets the flowers, but this defensive staff now has Clint Hurt, Bobby King, Christian Parker, Roy Anderson, and Joe Casper. That is an all-star cast, and Nick should get some credit for those hires. Interesting take there, John. What do you have to say back to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, Vic's a big part of the hires as well. You did he mention Bobby King? He might be
He
the
did,
biggest
yeah. He
one.
put Bobby King there.
Yeah, Bobby's the Nick guy. Everybody else is sort of more a big. Joe Casper's. He was with the Eagles and came back. But yeah, I mean, I'm giving big credit for the defense.
It's still good though. I mean, look, yeah, I'm giving
Nick,
Vic credit, but to Saquon's point, it is good to have position coaches that you're confident in that are teaching these guys fundamentals and how to play the position. Because then when you ask them to do something within your defense, you're confident that they can play it right. And I think that goes a long way. And in having a successful defense, you can have talented players. If they don't know how to play the position or they're not being taught what to do properly within the scheme, it's not going to work as good.
Well, so I'll just say that if for some reason somebody wants to hire Vic to be a head coach again, which I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's looking to leave. But if for some reason he leaves, I'm not comfortable with anybody taking over for Vic Fangio. That's not an insult of any of those guys. It's just, it's not the same.
Who would it be if that did happen? Who would it be? Clint Hurt? He's already been a defensive.
Well, Clint's already been the coordinator, so he would be in it. Bobby King's actually turned into his right-hand man, which is interesting because he was the one guy he didn't have a real relationship with.
He does have that old school mentality. You remember what did Bobby King say in the summer that had a bunch of headlines? Not headlines, but we talked.
Pajama Day.
Oh yeah, Pajama Day, talking about the OTAs or whatever it was.
Yeah, so he's become the right-hand man. Joe was with he was here, then he went with Vic down in Miami, and Vic took him back. So but the young coach, the up-and-coming young coach is Christian Parker. So Clint's done it. Christian's the young guy that's going to be the hot. I think Pelissero mentioned Christian in his future head coaching thing he always does. And Bobby's the actual right-hand man right now. He's big responsible. Internally, everybody gives Bobby a lot of credit for the improved tackling. He's behind the shifts and the tackling circuits in practice, then the Eagles have suddenly turned into one of the best tackling teams. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I saw that stat that came out yesterday. They're second in the league, right? In missed fewest missed tackles.
Yeah. And now for all the good I talk about Vic, one of the anomalies that I think is bizarre, to be honest, is his talk in the training camp of all the people that have studied under him. He doesn't give them all the secrets, which is not necessarily a good thing. But that's what he said. And all the people that copy him don't seem to do it as well. So yeah. Maybe I don't want the copy. Let's put it that way.
You think they hired Sean Desai over in LA specifically to combat this defense? Because it's all over the league. It's not just in Philly being played.
Well, I mean, Sean's been doing it. Sean hired Brandon Staley to run Vic Fangio's scheme because of back when he couldn't deal with it, back when he went to his first Super Bowl. That was the whole point. He's been doing it for years. Nick did it. There's so many. Kyle did it. Matt LaFleur did it. Kevin O'Connell did it. They all hired coaches specifically to run Vic Fangio's scheme, and they all didn't run it as well. The closest would be Jonathan here in 2022. Ed Donatel, I bring up, shitty job. Brandon Staley was okay. Brandon Staley was good. He got a head coaching job, but he wasn't. Obviously, we know what he became. Green Bay did it poorly. San Francisco did it okay. But yeah, nobody's done it to the level of Vic.
Good stuff there. Saquads, thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate that. Dank Bird Gang checks in. November 19th was the 46th anniversary of Miracle at the Meadowlands. #1 Giants head coach was Sean McVay's grandfather. John McVay. Look at that little intel here going into this Rams game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's coaching families in the NFL, and there's a lot of it, and a lot of times it's a bad thing. It's not bad with Sean McVay. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, there's a lot of that incestuous nature to the industry of football, to say the least.
No doubt. Good stuff there, Dank Bergang. Appreciate that. Brother John, offensively coming into this football game, what do you expect? Big day in the passing game. Is it Saquon Barkley day? You said you're not worried too much about that defensive line over there. I can't say I am either, other than that Jalen might hold on to the ball.
It has more to do with the Eagles' offensive line. I
agree. I mean, look,
when I asked that question, I'll ask it of you as well. I gave it to Scott. So there's 4 things: 2 offense, 2 defense. Put them in order. Saquon Barkley, offensive line on offense, defense, Zach Bond, Vic Fangio. Offensive line is my number 1.
And you're asking to rank those 4 in order of importance for the team?
Yes.
Oh man, I like that. I know you asked Scott that. I was managing some. That's tough. I think offensive line's got to be number 1. Does Vic Fangio go number 2?
That's yes. I have Vic second. People think I hate it. Then I have Saquon third,
3 and Saquon 4. I'm going to go Saquon probably 3. I just think this. I mean, look, this defense. When you have a defense playing top of the league, you could almost argue that Vic is number 1 because of the defense.
Well, I have no problem with, but I generally tend to go players before coaches.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, just based on the way the question was asked, because the defense is playing so good, you could make an argument that Vic is more important this year. Like this perfect example was last week. If we don't have a good defense last week, that game is not unfolding the way it unfolded. So the defense gives this team the ability to play like they want to play on offense. It gives this team the ability to run behind the offensive line. If you don't have a good defense and you're going down in games,
yeah, I said they don't have a good defense. That game is completely different against Washington. They probably, even if they score 1 more touchdown, you can't play the way you played. And it was Sean McVay had a great quote about the Eagles. I'll try to pull it up about that exact thing. And I think that's what he was sort of talking about, their ability to play a certain way. And he said, I think that's one of the things that I admire and respect the most about this team is they play as a team instead of separate entities, offense, defense, and special teams. In other words, the Washington game's a perfect example. As we said, it was 10-6. Washington was stopping the run. Like everybody forgets when the game's over, because you have the huge 4th quarter and you have the 39-yard touchdown, the 23-yard touchdown. He was under 4 yards a carry through 3 quarters. And that's what Lane was talking about. It was like they were stopping it. But, the dam opened in the 4th quarter. But why did it open? Well, it opened because it was still 10-6 and you could open it. You could still be disciplined. If it's 17-6, you can't do that. You can't do it. You got to go try to win the game a different way. And that's what Lane was trying to impart.
That's why I think the defense is so important right now, John. I mean, if this team, you can't assume, obviously the season's not linear, but the passing game isn't where it needs to be. So if we just assume, let's just say, all right, right now, this is what it looks like. This is what's going to be the passing game. They're going to hover around 15-22. You better have a good defense late in the year, because if you want to win the way they win right now, your defense has to hold
play a certain way.
You're done.
Yeah. And they've been doing it to this point. So yeah, that I mean, I wouldn't argue with anybody putting Vic number one. I would argue anybody putting Zach or Saquon above the offensive line and Vic. That's where I would
I would agree.
argue. The offensive line, like I use those two plays as an example, and I encourage everybody. I'm sure you've seen them 100 times. Look at those two runs. I mean, yes, the back is explosive. 39 yards might turn into 25 yards with a normal back. 23 yards might be 16 yards with a normal back. But those were holes that you just don't see in the NFL. And this
driving down an open highway in the middle of the night with the holes on this.
This offensive line is just, I can't say enough about them. I mean, it starts with Lane and Jordan, who are, you know, they don't even, they don't help them. I think people don't realize that. Everybody's got to help in the NFL. When the Eagles have Lane, this is the biggest luxury they have offensively. They don't have to help their tackles ever. They do occasionally, you know, if you want to set somebody up. I'm not saying it's 100% of the time, but somebody, and I don't know who it was, put up help rate versus success, and both Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson were by themselves at the top of the chart. By themselves, the two Eagles tackles.
Right.
I
need help.
And I just don't think people understand how dominant that offensive line is. And, you know, Landon Dickerson is probably having a bad year for him. And he's, because of some of the, you know, he's been dealing with some things. And he's dominant. Mekhi Becton has been, that's another, we talk about Howie's moves. How about that move?
That was a good move. You know what else I think is a good move that's right now under the radar, but people will realize it was a good move and it was a draft pick? It's Tyler Steen.
Well, he's a backup. I mean,
I know, but he's been good, and now I wonder what they're going to do with Becton. You know, they got a lot of these contracts looming.
Yeah, well, he's probably going to get a lot of money, and then Tyler will have his opportunity. But, you know, I'm not. My point is, I'm not confident that Tyler Steen can play like Mekhi Becton is playing.
He's been good though in the limited role.
He's fine, but I think, you know, I think I'm looking at the guard rankings. Landon's 12th in the NFL. Mekhi's 15th. I mean, my God, there's 64 starting guards. You got 12 and 15. You know, you got a top 10 center who's making that block on the 39-yard touchdown by Cam Jurgens. My God.
Yeah. That was Kelsey-esque.
Even Kelsey would be impressed by that. And we talk about Jordan Mailata is currently number one. Lane Johnson's number 4 in tackles. That's your offensive line. It is unbelievable.
John, you feeling like a Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway this week for the JAKIB Nation?
It depends how the game goes.
Well, I know I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Yes, if it's a close game. If it's not, they'll probably rest them. And no,
I think it's going to be a close game. I have a feeling it's going to be a close game this week.
Yeah, their interior people are more pass rushers than run stuffers. So I know people are just going to look at the gross statistics, but I mean, they don't have big run stuffers in the middle. They have more quick, explosive guys. So yeah, when I talk about the matchups for this, I don't like them. I don't like, Mekhi Becton and Landon Dickerson leaning on those guys. I don't like that matchup for the Rams at all. So I'm going to go over. Yeah. So get
All
ready.
right.
You might as
All
well
right.
order it.
Going over 6 jersey coming. Is it coming? We'll see if it comes. We'll see if we'll be doing a giveaway. Late Sunday game. We'll be doing a show Sunday night. Hope to have all of you guys in there for the post game show. It's been the post game show has been excellent so far this year, and the night ones get a little fun toward the end when we're live. Me and the great people of Jacob Nation are live till 2:30, 3 in the morning.
Because you're punch drunk by that point.
Oh, I am. I admit it too. We talk about it on the air. I mean, at that point, I'm seeing stars. I'm up there I'm bringing them up on the show. It's a lot of fun doing it, though. I will say that. And then we get right back at it, 8 a.m. Birds 365. So, Madness, you got a spot, brother. I will bring you up if you're in there and you're ready to rumble, Madness. It'll be a late night, my friend. Although I think you're a DJ, so you're used to late nights. You're used to late nights, Madness. So good stuff.
Hey, did you see that moron berating Jason Kelsey in Los Angeles?
What was that? I couldn't believe Kelsey went over and gave that guy
couldn't
the time
believe
of
it
day.
either. I mean,
Kelsey's too nice.
That's the price of fame. Well, he got into it with the Penn State kid. I mean, just leave the guy alone. My God.
Yeah, I guess he's trying to make himself look a little better after that. I don't know. Is that what he's trying to do?
I don't know.
I would have done it too. I woke up and saw that. I didn't see it. Like, I didn't watch it in real time last night when it came out, but I did see it before the show, and I'm like, what is this asshole screaming at Jason Kelly? Sounds like a jerk off.
He was a jerk off.
Yeah, was a big jerk off.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you put in this position. I guess, he was on the Kimmel show, Jason, and he was announcing his late night ESPN show.
I mean, they just keep giving him stuff. Jason Kelsey, eventually he's going to have to turn down some of these
he's going to have to move out there, unfortunately for him.
Oh, is he moving out there?
I'm saying if he keeps doing this type of... No, this is only... I don't know, like 5 weeks, one day. I think it's not like a daily.
I think it's Friday and Saturday night. I saw, but
it's not like a daily show. So, but eventually, if he keeps doing the stuff he's doing, he's probably going to have to go out to Hollywood.
I don't see him doing that. He's got a big old plot of land, right? I think in Delco. I think right by the city in Delco.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have money, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, right? You move. I don't know. He's that's one thing I like about Kelsey is even with all the money and the fame and everything that he gets, he just seems like a normal guy. He's got a wife, got kids, he's got family. I don't know how normal he is, but he seems normal, at least from the outside. I like Jason Kelsey, but I do think there's a percentage of people, John, who are a little bit Jason Kelsey'd out, whether they're in Philly or not.
Oh, he's in every commercial. So overexposed. Yeah. I'm sorry, Jason. You're so overexposed. Less is more. But then again, I'm overexposed locally. So,
John, you're never overexposed. People are always looking for more Johnny Mac.
Yeah, I mean, no. Hey, you got to cash in when you can cash in. I don't blame him one bit.
Me neither.
One bit. It's an amazing story. Amazing.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of people trying to follow their footsteps.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, even little stuff. Like he was the first offensive lineman ever to be in the top 20 jersey sales of the NFL. Ever. People don't buy offensive line jerseys.
Right.
And then he was like number 1 or number 2, I forget. And he was the highest ever. Yeah, I mean, his personality is rare. Usually the offensive line, even now he's not there. I mean, those are the most, for whatever reason, and this is every team, not just Philadelphia. They're the most interesting to talk to. I don't know why, but it always seems to work out. I think you got to be a little bit nutty to play offensive line.
Yeah, you do.
So they tend to have some personality.
I can relate. It's like being a goalie in hockey. Everyone tells you you're crazy for being a goalie in hockey. I was a goalie in hockey.
Yeah. Like Nick Gates is one of the most entertaining people in the world. He's just a backup, well, he's been a starter, but just interesting guy.
Yeah, the only story I've never met Jason Kelsey personally, but a couple weeks ago, not too long ago, I think maybe a month or two ago, month and a half ago, my father was giving away something for a charitable organization at one of our local broadcasts, and it was a sick Jason Kelsey portrait and everything, and my dad met up with Jason Kelsey, and he was just the coolest dude ever. And he signed the thing, and he wrote a nice note on there for the person we were giving it away to, and so it was cool. I wasn't there for the experience, but my dad said he was a really cool dude, and he asked my dad if he wanted a picture, and my dad's like, "No, I don't do pictures." I'm like, "You could have gotten a picture with Jason Kelsey. I would have posted it up on Jacob and gotten a little bit of love out of it." But anyway, he didn't do that. So, but anyway, Jason Kelsey behind the scenes seems to be a cool guy, so that's good from that perspective. John, you think it's a big game for AJ Brown?
Well, no. I
Why?
mean, from the perspective,
if Devontae Smith.
Oh, you mean big statistical game? I thought you meant a big game. I don't know.
No, I think statistical.
I'm
waiting for him to break out eventually. John, he's gonna get upset about some of his touches if he doesn't get the ball more soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's played at a really high level. I mean, his numbers aren't where people expect because, well, he missed 3 games, but where is he? So I'm looking at 33 receptions for 618 yards. I mean, it's incredibly productive.
Yeah, the average per catch is insane, but 33 catches is
well. They don't throw the ball. It's that's what you want. If you want to run the ball, you don't throw the ball.
Well, yeah, and
they're winning, and that means the number of catches are down. As long as they're winning, everything's fine. But yeah, I mean that's the counter. These people with, I predicted Saquon to get 2,000 yards, and I brought it up like AJ's going to get 15. It doesn't work that way. If somebody's getting that much, it's taken away from everybody else. And that's why the best teams, nobody's looking at the stat sheet if you're winning games, and generally that's the case because part of it is all receivers want the football, but part of it is nobody wants to be a dickhead when you're winning because you look like a dickhead.
Yep. 106 catches last year, though. He's down to 33.
Well, I mean, then you're not running the ball if you want to get back. So, I mean, you can't have everything, but he's playing at an effective level. That's what matters most. Until the Eagles start throwing the football more. I mean, will he get 100 yards? Yeah, probably. He usually does. But I don't think you're going to see the massive numbers that they've had in the past until they ship gears, if they need to ship gears. And maybe, hopefully, if everything goes to perfection, they don't have to ship gears. And they can play the same way. But a lot of numbers for Jalen Hurts, that's the ironic part. When just stat lookers and they see big numbers for quarterbacks or receivers, you're generally losing a lot of games or you're behind in a lot of games, and you might come back to win them. But again, one thing that has never changed, and how much it frustrates me over the years, is good teams run the football. Good teams run the football because they're winning, and the numbers say they run the football because they're closing out games. It's the most common sense thing in the world. When you're behind, you're throwing the football. So on a certain week, you can have these astronomical numbers that everybody's raving about. Oh, so-and-so threw for 450 yards and so-and-so threw for caught 3 touchdown passes. How great is that? Well, yeah, but you can't do that consistently. So, bad teams tend to pass the ball more because bad teams are trying to get back in the game and trying to win. It's the most common sense thing in the world, but I don't know why nobody can figure it out. And I'm exaggerating. Everybody knows it in the NFL, but a lot of fans can't figure it out.
Interesting stuff, John. A couple other games that we'll look at real quick. We only have 20 minutes left on the show, and we'll get our predictions, our Eagles predictions coming up at the end of the show. I want everybody to drop their prediction for the game when we do ours, and I will read off a couple of the people in the chat. James Jones, John, he's a resident Commander fan. I guess he made a bet with somebody. He's got the Eagles logo. He's got the Eagles logo on his page. You'll probably have to keep that. I don't know. It's been a week, James. How long you got to keep that sucker on there? Good to see you in here, brother.
If he doubles down, he's probably going to have to keep it on there a little bit longer.
Yeah. Mac Main says, have you all talked about the Steelers don't look so scary? Well, Mac, why do you say that? Because they didn't look good in the snow?
I never thought they were scary, number one.
No, but they were 8-2. I think they were on the schedule.
But I said pretty consistently, I think Baltimore remains a better team. I'm more disappointed in Baltimore. Pittsburgh's been winning games, but they're not. Yeah, they're not, to me. I've never put them in the Super Bowl contender category. I
do think they're a tough matchup though on any given Sunday. I'm not going to bash them for losing.
They have too many limitations offensively, and that nonsense they're doing with the quarterbacks that doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that with Jaden Daniels. I would just stick with Russell Wilson or with not Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields. Yeah. You're right, Mac. It did come. It's crazy the pictures on social media. How like the first half, it's a completely normal looking field, and then you fast forward like a little bit, and it's covered in snow, inches of snow. That was some thick, heavy snow.
That was a blizzard, man. That was
some thick, heavy snow. John, couple games that have some implications, I guess, in the NFC. Cowboys, Commanders. I mean, that's a snooze fest, but it does have implications in the NFC.
Well, the Commanders should get back on track. They better get back on track with it because that Cowboys team is oof.
Are we rooting for the Cowboys this weekend, everyone?
If you're an Eagles fan, you should.
Yeah, Vikings take on the Bears, John. That's an NFC matchup. I guess we're just tracking the Vikings there to see how the seeding will go.
Yeah, you got the Vikings are kind of like the Steelers for me of the NFC.
I agree.
I mean, they're good. They're a playoff team, I think, but they're not a significant Super Bowl contender. I don't think. And they should beat Chicago, but that's their third straight game on the road. That's never good. And it's a division game. But boy, I have no respect for Chicago. It's just I don't want to put them at the Jets level, but they're just a terrible organization. Terrible decisions.
They could be Jets level.
I'm not going to go that far, but I never liked Matt Eberflus as a hire for them.
Yeah.
And
he's made himself look like a jackass this year.
This
makes Sirianni look like
the worst thing that could happen for the Chicago Bears, to be honest, is to win a game like this, and you get that false hope. Oh, we beat a playoff team, that type of thing, and they buy into it, and they keep Matt Eberflus, and they keep going down the path they're going down. That's the worst thing. If you're a Bears fan, you should want them to lose games like this. But they played Green Bay tough last week. I assume they're going to play Minnesota tough this week. They have some talent. They have some skill position talent.
They have good skill position talent.
But it's just a bad organization.
Yeah, hard to win when you're a bad organization. Cardinals Seahawks, that's a decent NFC
that's
game
a big
there.
One.
Yeah, Cardinals are good. I kind of like the Cardinals right now.
6-4, 5-5, 5-5, 5-5. So anybody can take that division. Probably not going to have a wild card team. So, that's why this game's so big. That if you're talking about, on paper, I look at the matchups and I don't like them for the Rams. But the one thing I do like for the Rams is they need this game. So they're going to be fighting and clawing and scratching in theory. So that is something to keep an eye on. But yeah, every game's big for those NFC West teams because they're all jumbled together.
Yeah, they're all right there.
And I'm rooting for JG. I'll admit that.
Yeah, you were always open about that. He was good to you and good stuff there. 49ers Packers, John. That's an interesting one. That's the 425 game. Both of these Cardinals Seahawks and 49ers Packers. So two good NFC games in that 425 window. I think the 49ers need this or they're out.
Yeah, they definitely do. Just same thing I'm talking about. I mean, if Arizona beats Seattle, Seattle's in deep trouble. If the 49ers lose, they're in deep trouble. If the Rams lose, they're in deep trouble. Yeah, it's big. Everybody's in it. It's important for every single one of them. Brock Purdy's banged up. He might not even play.
Yeah.
Today's going to be a big day to see if Brock Purdy can play. And they don't have Sam Darnold as a backup anymore. I think Brandon Allen might be their backup. So they're not in a position to do much with their backup quarterback now. So and Green Bay's better probably anyway. So that's a very big game for San Francisco to try.
I agree. I think the Packers are going to win that game. I don't know. I think this 49ers team just seems like there's a spell against them this year or something, man. They can't get anything to go their way. The best game of the week, in my opinion, John, Ravens Chargers on Monday Night Football. It's at the Chargers home. I wish this game was in Baltimore. I would have loved to see it in Baltimore, but it's a great game. Two great quarterbacks between Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson. Monday Night Football. How do you see that one playing out?
Well, the Ravens better win, man. I'll tell you that.
This is a tough game.
I think Jim Harbaugh has. I always got to get the Harbaughs right. Has the Chargers going in the right direction. Eagles made a practice squad move. That's why. But I'll say.
What is it? Anything worth sharing here on Birds?
Well, we'll say it in a second.
Sharing.
But as far as Baltimore's got to get going, man. I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but if they lose this game, they're off the table. And then they got to play the Eagles next week. They got to fix their shit. So the battle of the Harbaughs, which happened once in the Super Bowl, John got the best of that one. I think he gets the best of this one, but Jim's got that team going in the right direction. Eagles, which is not a good. One of the things they lost, obviously, Bryce Huff, who had wrist surgery. They had a edge rusher by the name of David Ania on the practice squad. He's been there since mid-September, and they cut him today for O'Shawn Mathis.
Linebacker moves. Any reason for linebacker moves?
Well, they're edge guys. So they're not all ball linebackers.
Yeah, right. They're guys you can rotate probably in at the edge. We'll see if they do anything.
But not a good sign that, they need depth at edge rusher, and they cut David Ania, who's been here, for O'Shawn Mathis. So he's listed as a linebacker, but he's 6'5", 250. He's an edge rusher. 6th round pick of the Los Angeles Rams in 2023. And he was with the Patriots for a little bit. So, they need something. And maybe they liked him in the 2023 draft. But, there's some depth concerns at edge rusher for the Eagles right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get back into this Eagles game. Good slate, pretty decent slate this weekend. Not a brutal slate, not a great slate. Some other things, John, in this game I think that stick out. We hit on most of them. I mentioned A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. We don't know if he's going to play, but those small cornerbacks in the Rams, I think they're ripe to be picked on. So it'll be interesting to see if Jalen can kind of pick up the passing game this week. We talked about the Eagles tackles and them going up against those young edge rushers of the Rams, Jared Verse and Byron Young. We'll see how that matchup plays out. Interior of the Eagles offensive line versus the Rams interior. I'm still taking the Eagles O-line there. They got that Braden Fisk, who's pretty good. and then Kobe Turner.
Well, he's very athletic.
Yeah, they each have 5 sacks. That's pretty good for interior guys.
And they're both more, as I said, they're both like, I don't like that matchup for the Rams at all. At all. They're both undersized. Really, and by what I'm talking about, I'm talking really undersized, under 300 pounds, 280-ish range. I mean, you talk about the running game. Good luck. Good luck to those two guys trying to hold up against Landon and Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, Fisk has made some really good plays this year, though, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, he's very athletic, as I said.
Yeah, very quick, very athletic. And then we talked about the secondary already with Cooper Kupp. So pretty good matchups here in this game. I do think it's interesting the way it plays out, where their strength, in a way, John, is kind of going up against our strength with Vic Fangio. It's like McVay versus Fangio. They got the good offensive scheme. We have the good defensive scheme. That'll be an interesting matchup to watch how that plays out. Who kind of gets the better of each other with two good coaches there.
Yeah, and history says Vic's going to get the better of it. He's been sort of the kryptonite for Sean McVay's scheme. As I mentioned, why so many people have so many of the McVay type coaches, offensive coaches, have hired guys who run this scheme, or have specifically looked for guys to hire who run this scheme for a reason. And the reason is, and Sean McVay started it, the reason is he said it's the most difficult defensive scheme to deal with. And that's why they wanted their other side of the ball to run it. Nick Sirianni said the same thing. Doesn't run the same type of offense, but he said the same thing. Found it the most difficult scheme to deal with. So, yeah, history says Vic's going to get the best of him. And he's got more talent. The Eagles have more talent. I don't see why it's not going to be the case this week. And yeah, I think the Eagles are in good shape heading out to Los Angeles.
Good stuff there. Everybody put your predictions in the chat. It's prediction time here on Birds 365. Steve Ike, come on, Steve.
I'm not going 42-3.
42-3. Joe Whip, 34-14. Holy shit.
What are we doing here? Come on, guys.
We need some good predictions on Birds 365 before we give ours. Kevin, oh my God. What is 38-21? Everybody's predicting an Eagles blowout.
Come on. What makes you think this team's going to score 38 points?
Sounds like he's been listening to John McMullen for 4 years. Look at him. I don't do score predictions.
Yeah, good for you, Dang. I'm forced to do them. Otherwise,
I will force John to make a prediction. 24-20. That's all right. I like that. 28-23.
There we go.
Anthony, 64.
That's more realistic. That's
30-20. That's not a bad score right there. I think that could be realistic if the Eagles are able to get the lead late in the game. 34-17, not bad. 31-24, 27-20, 24-17 from our resident Commander fan.
Anybody pick the Rams? Boy, I might pick the Rams just because nobody's picking the Rams.
Oh, you can't let that sway you.
I think
Eagles fans is picking the Eagles, and that's going to make you pick the Rams.
I think it's ludicrous that nobody picked the Rams. So.
I don't see one Ram. Oh, here we go. Do I have a Rams pick? Where was that? Yep, Josh B.
All right.
Rams.
Good for Josh.
This was before you said this. This was 2 minutes ago.
Josh
Rams,
saved
21-14.
me. Josh saved me. Yeah. All right. Now I can go back to picking the Eagles. Now, I don't think it'll be easy by any stretch, but I do like the matchup from a standpoint of, like I said, one of the strengths, people look at it and they say, oh, Kobe Turner's a pretty good player. As you mentioned with Braden Fisk, very athletic, all right, good luck. Good luck trying to play that against Landon and Mekhi Becton. I just don't like styles make fights. I don't like the Rams style against the Eagles. the Rams will be the one who have to use the silent count on the road more than the Eagles. That helps as well. Yeah, but I don't like the way this offense is playing as a whole, as a group from the Eagles' perspective. I think it might be similar to what it has been: play poorly offensively, and then you wear on them late and you win the game that way. I'm looking more toward that direction. Probably end up being a 26-17 game, Eagles.
I like that. 26-17. You only have the Rams putting up 17. So Johnny Mack, I'm feeling like you got some optimism on this defense, man. You're liking this defense.
Vic Fangio's in Sean McVay's head long before he came to Philadelphia. Long before. Years, 4 teams ago for Vic.
I wish they let you guys talk to the opposing coach. They used to do that, didn't they?
Yep. Every week we
that
used to get to talk
that they got rid of that. Why the hell would they get rid of that? That is so stupid to get rid of.
Young coaches don't want to do it. Guys like Andy, he would still do it. Mike McCarthy, he would still do it.
I don't care what the young coaches say. What, now you're a young coach and you win a couple of games, you can come in and dictate what
they're egomaniacs. Yeah. They don't have time. They don't have time for a 10-minute conference call. And I will say, a lot of media, because of the way things have gone in this industry, like most cities don't have, nobody has the contingent of media that Philadelphia does. So for us, it's like, it's a big deal because we got a bunch of people will be there for the conference call, double digits. In other cities, you might have one guy, 2 guys, and sometimes nobody would show up. And so when that happens, they take advantage of it and they say, well, half of the time there's nobody there. We don't want to do this anymore. And they take advantage of it. Whereas cities that have legitimate media contingents, it's a big deal. And, now it's lost in the sauce. But guys like Mike McCarthy, guys, Andy, I totally respect, because they not only did it, they knew it was part of their jobs. They took it somewhat seriously. And yeah, that it's disappointing when others don't see that.
That shouldn't be the case. He should
and the next credit, he would do it when asked.
Come on, NFL. It's fucking stupid. All right, my prediction, John, for this game, I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning 30-24. I think the Birds put some points on the board late, as they've been doing consistently. I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams offense get some points early. Not too many, but I think they have a similar start to like the Bengals, where they're able to come out. Their game plan coming in will work. Vic will make the adjustments and start to lock them down. And I think the Birds will pull away.
I could see bad first drive for the Eagles defense.
That's kind of what I'm thinking here. And they'll get down, and I think it'll be a little bit of a dogfight in those middle couple quarters. And then I think the Birds will take the lead late and won't give it back up. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning 30-24, a 6-point win over this Rams team. I don't think the Rams are going to get many points more than that. I'll be lucky, I think, if they get 24, but we'll see how the game goes out. Had a couple good predictions in here. Big thanks to Keith, who says the #1 morning show. I agree, Keith. The best morning show on YouTube and all of Philadelphia, if you love the Philadelphia Eagles. So big thanks to you guys for making it that, by the way. John, good show today, man. What's on your agenda on this Friday?
Going down to Novacare as soon as I get off here. Big practice day. We'll get to see if Devontae Smith is out there. Nick Sirianni talks before practice. We get a little bit of extra time with the head football coach and the off the record standpoint. So Fridays are always a big day.
Good stuff there. Johnny Mac, when does the Eagles head out there? They head out there tomorrow, probably fly out
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Saturday.
Yeah, they always do that. I
Yeah.
just didn't know if it changed with sometimes they try and manipulate the time zone thing. Didn't they do that for Denver one year where they flew in?
There's a lot of teams now have settled into the less time you're there. The best
Right.
indication are the European games, in Brazil this year. But used to be they would go in way early and do different things to try to get
Yeah.
used to the. But now they figured out that it's best to suck it up and just go late and get out.
Yeah, it's
Same
funny.
thing.
I'm more the kind of guy that would like to get out there and get settled and then maybe even get a practice in out there. So you but I get why they do it the way they do it now. It makes sense, but
Yeah. NFL teams, man, they are in and out. They don't sit around. Nobody's going out to dinner. There's no sightseeing.
Yeah.
They are in and out.
Yes, they are. Real quick before we let you go, John. A couple super chats. Caleb says Eagles win convincingly, 10 to 14 points. That'd be good, Caleb. He follows up and says offense is fine, just out of rhythm on the early downs. I believe in Kellen and number one. I've seen the growth with them as long as we keep 26 in it early for the most part. I don't know how they're going to stop 26. We'll see what they can do against him this week. Pass game will come along. More we see flashes. Caleb, we need consistency, but I do appreciate the super chats, and I think you're right about your approach to the game. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. Bo Daxter says, Zander, imagine getting settled in Brazil. Well, maybe that's a good point. LA is a little different, Bo Daxter. You can go out there to millionaires.
It's not as different as it used to be, but it is different. Yes.
Yeah, a little different. You're right about that. But, they can prop up in Millionaires Row and relax and have the sunshine and the bullshit and all that. All right, John, good show, man. Great shows this week. I thought we crushed it covering this game and recapping what the Eagles were able to do versus the Commies last week. 8-2. We'll see if they can get to 9-2.
Boy, they should call them the Washington football team.
I think the football team is better than the Commanders. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
Now the hockey team is. Have you seen that? The hockey is taking that approach. There's a new hockey team this year in Utah.
Yeah, the Utah Hockey Club. I don't know.
And I'm like, pick a damn name. What the hell? They couldn't pick a name.
Well, that's a soccer thing, which makes some sense from a soccer standpoint.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess. Pick a name. Come on. All right, John. Good show, man. We'll talk to you on the pregame show. Not until Sunday night. Going to be a late pregame show, 7 p.m. pregame show.
Sunday night, the bane of my existence. But everybody enjoy the game. I will see you then.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hit that like button on your way out. Ooh, Utah Yeti. That's a good one, Jason. Thank you guys for being here. Hit that like button on your way out. We will catch you next time on Birds 365. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.